In the 1950s, Detroit quietly built a few American cars that could move, not just for their time, but fast enough to make European sports cars look over their shoulder. The problem was not horsepower. Detroit had that. The problem was weight, gearing, and traction. Skinny bias ply tires were trying to hold on to a launch they were never designed for. So tonight, we are not chasing myths or modern restamods. We are chasing verified period-style quarter-mile numbers, the quickest runs we can actually back up with road test data. And the wild part is this: the fastest one does not win because it is the biggest. It wins because it is the smart. One quick disclaimer before we drop the hammer. Fastest gets messy the second you talk about the 1950s. Here are the rules. These are American-built cars from 1950 through 1959, and we are judging them by quarter-mile performance as it was recorded in the era. That means period road tests, credible archival test sheets, and widely accepted historical sources, not modern restorations with sticky tires, overdrive automatics, or hidden engine upgrades. You will see why that matters, because quarter-mile times back then could swing hard depending on the rear gear ratio, manual versus automatic shifting, the test surface and the weather, and one brutal truth: traction was the limiting factor. So do not think of this like a perfect laboratory ranking. Think of it like a list of the quickest real-world combinations Detroit actually put on the road when it counted. By the early to mid-1950s, Detroit was not just selling transportation anymore. It was selling status, and speed was becoming the loudest kind of status. Every year, engines got bigger, compression climbed, and marketing got bolder. V8 engines were not a novelty. They were an arms race. Multiple carburetor setups started showing up like factory flexes. High output badges suddenly mattered. The guys reading road tests did not just want to know top speed. They wanted one number: the quarter mile. But here is the catch. Most 1950s cars were not built like drag cars. They were built like rolling living rooms. They had heavy bodies, soft suspensions, long gearing for smooth cruising, and tires that were basically hard rubber donuts compared to what came later. So the real battle was not who has the most horsepower. The real battle was who could turn horsepower into forward motion right now, without turning the start line into a smoke show. That is where this list gets interesting, because some of the fastest cars were not the ones you would expect. Let me give you the punchline early, because this is the part most lists drag out for 10 minutes. The fastest 1950s. American quarter-mile car on this list is not some cartoonish, oversized land yacht that wins by brute force alone. It is a car built around a simple idea. If you cannot hook up, horsepower is just noise. Picture it. The driver stages. The engine snaps to attention. Instead of the rear tires instantly turning into two white clouds, the car goes clean, hard, like it actually has a plan. That is the difference. In the 1950s, the fast cars were not always the ones with the biggest engines. The truly quick ones were the cars with the right power delivery, the right gearing, and just enough weight advantage to make their horsepower usable in the first 60 feet. where quarter miles are really one. When you see what number 1 is, you will understand why it became a benchmark that made everything else in the decade feel suddenly outdated. To appreciate the winner, we have to start where the surprises begin. Number 7 starts with a lie your eyes tell you. This thing does not look like a quarter-mile car. It looks like a rolling penthouse with a long hood, big glass, serious chrome, and the kind of interior that feels like it should come with a cigarette lighter and a martini. In the late 1950s, Chrysler had a point to prove. The letter series cars, especially the 300C, were built like a warning shot to the rest of Detroit. Luxury does not have to be slow. Period tests captured the shock value. A full-size American production car, automatic and heavy, was still ripping off a 16.9-second quarter mile. Numbers that made people rethink what fast meant in 1957. That is the theme of this list. Not just horsepower, but usable speed. This next car does not win with luxury. It wins by being the underdog with a trick. Number 6 is the kind of car that starts arguments at car shows because it looks like somebody's commuter until you learn what American Motors stuffed under the hood. The 1957 Rambler Rebel was basically a compact, sensible sedan that got hit with a full-size V8 attitude. In period coverage, it was shockingly quick off the line. Hemmings notes a best 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 7.5 seconds in testing, right there with far more glamorous performance machines of the day. Depending on the test and conditions, published quarter-mile numbers vary. One period-style recap of runs on Daytona Beach cites 17.87 seconds through the traps. That is the Rebel's whole story. Speed where you least expect it. The next car does not win by being a sleeper. It wins by bringing a serious trick to the fight, forced air, and a reputation for surprising everybody at the line. Number 5 is where the list starts to feel unfair. On paper, a Studebaker should not be trading punches with Detroit's biggest names. The 1957 Golden Hawk had two things going for it. It had a lighter body than the full-size Bruisers, and it had a setup that let it run aggressive gearing without feeling strangled on the highway. In a period Sports Cars Illustrated road test recap, the Golden Hawk's numbers land right in that wait seriously zone. It runs 0 to 60 miles per hour in 9.3 seconds, and it runs the quarter mile in 17.3 seconds at 86 miles per hour, brisk enough to sit in the same conversation as cars that cost more and wore bigger reputations. Here is the real point. The Golden Hawk proves the 1950s were not only about the biggest engine. Sometimes the fastest move was simply being lighter and geared to launch. The next car does not win by being clever. It wins by stacking the deck with multiple carburetors and factory attitude. Number 4 is where the 1950s stop feeling cute and start feeling dangerous. The 1958 Pontiac Bonneville is supposed to be a top trim boulevard car. It is big and plush, built for long highways and wide smiles. Pontiac had another idea. Try power. 3 two-barrel carburetors feeding a hungry V8 like it is trying to breathe through a fire hose. In period-style testing, that setup was not just for bragging rights. It translated to real numbers. It ran 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 8.0 seconds, and it ran a 16.1 second quarter mile at 87 miles per hour, a serious pace for a full-size American luxury coupe in 1958. The Bonneville's secret is not that it is light, because it is not. The secret is that the power comes in strong enough to drag all that weight forward anyway. Now we are done, surprisingly quickly. Number 3 is where Detroit starts building cars that feel like they were made to pick fights at the start line. Number 3 is pure 1950s theater. And that is exactly why people underestimated it. The fins are dramatic. The chrome is loud. And the whole car feels like it was designed to cruise past a drive-in at 10 miles per hour. Speed Age tested the 1959 Dodge D500. And the numbers were not for show. They were receipts. It ran 0 to 60 miles per hour in 8.8 seconds, and it ran a 16.3 second quarter mile in period testing. That matters because this is not a stripped-down special. It is a big, comfortable convertible. Yet it still put down a quarter-mile time that would make plenty of sporty cars from the decade sweat. Here is the open loop. If a full-size Dodge could do that while wearing a tuxedo, what do you think happens when we get to the cars that were built like they had one job? Leave first and never look back. Number 2 is the car that makes the whole decade snap into focus, because it is basically a warning about what happens when you mix real power with a lighter, purpose-built platform. The 1959 fuel-injected Corvette was not a giant cruiser trying to moonlight as a drag car. It was a sports car designed to put its power down cleanly, at least as cleanly as 1950s tires would allow. In period road and track style testing, the numbers were still ridiculous for 1959. It ran 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds, and it ran the quarter mile in 14.5 seconds at 96 miles per hour. That is not pretty quick for a classic. That is fast, period. Especially when you remember what most big American cars were doing over the same 1,320 feet. Here is the tension. If this is number 2, what could possibly be quicker in the 1950s without cheating? Here is the full reveal. The fastest 1950s American quarter-mile car on this list is the 1957 Chevrolet Corvette, specifically the top setup with Rochester fuel injection and the 4-speed, because it was not just powerful. It was organized. Road and Track's period test numbers are the kind of stats that do not sound real until you remember the year. It ran 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds, and it ran a standing quarter mile in 14.3 seconds. In 1957, that is borderline science fiction for a street-legal American car. It did not win by being the biggest engine in the room. It won because it solved the real 1950s problem, turning horsepower into forward motion. The Corvette's lighter sports car layout gave it a fighting chance where full-size sedans struggled. It had less weight to shove, and a chassis that did not feel like it was built for sofa comfort first. Then you add fuel injection. Not magic, but clean, consistent power delivery compared to a lot of carbureted setups that could feel fat or fussy depending on conditions. That 4-speed matters because the quarter mile is really a story about the first few shifts, staying in the power and not falling out of it. So when the light turned green in the late 1950s, most cars fought their own weight. The 1957 fuel-injected Corvette attacked the clock. If there is one takeaway from the 1950s, it is this: horsepower did not automatically equal quarter-mile wins. Most American cars in that decade were fighting 3 enemies at once: weight, traction, and gearing. A big V8 could look unbeatable on paper. But if the rear tires could not hook, the first 60 feet turned into wheel spin, and the run was basically over before it started. That is why the quickest cars were not always the most glamorous or the most expensive. The winners were the ones that delivered power cleanly, kept the engine in its sweet spot, and did not waste half the launch smoking the tires. That is exactly how the Corvette earned the crown. Go back to that strip of asphalt. The light flips green. The rear squats. The engine barks. For a second, the whole decade is right there in the sound. Chrome, ambition, and Detroit, trying to prove it could outrun anyone. The 1950s looked polite. Under that polish, the quarter-mile war had already started. Now I want to know, if you could take one of these to the line, which one are you choosing, and who are you calling out? If you enjoyed this countdown, please hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who swears the 1950s were all chrome and no speed. It really helps the channel reach more muscle car fans. Now tell me in the comments which one of these you would line up at the strip and why. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.